Welcome to my presentation as part of the course Human Factors in AI within the specialization AI Product Management that we have. So as part of this, we were asked to do the mockups for the whole prototype, and like as explained in our training, I followed this design thinking process, which is from the Stanford University, which follows this steps of empathize, define, ideate, and prototype. So as part of this, for our recommendation system, we choose to engage with our users because it was not possible to shadow the users as because of their hectic schedule. So we choose to engage with them by having conversations or meetings with them, where we ask questions and try to get their feedback on what they currently do, how they do it, so that we could get more information on their existing process, which we will see in the next slides. And then we try to build a machine learning model which could automate this. And then we went through the definition phase based on the information that we got from our users with whom we had meetings, and based on which we then defined how our potential recommendation solution should be. And then we tried to ideate this solution or integrate this into our code system, which our users use to define codes for our customers. And before doing the actual development, what we did was we did a kind of an offline model, which was with some test data that we downloaded from our systems. Tried to run our model against this test set, and try to validate with also our users how this would be. And then after this was accepted, then we went into the actual development phase, where we implemented it and then rolled it out for our users. So as mentioned, this is how the current task flow was before the automation was brought in. So currently what the users were doing were, when they were adding or creating a quote, they would add different products into the BOM, and when they would click this and they would save the code. What they would then also do is they would go to a specific report which they could see which products were relevant for certain products that they had in the code. And then they would also have the information on which customers bought which products, certain information about these customers who brought these products, such as industry, market segment, country, region. And then these users would try to do a mix and match manually, and then try to propose potentially what they could further upsell or recommend to our customers. So as you see, this was more tedious and also more error prone from a user perspective. And so what we did was we integrated our recommendation system. So like you see, user would still do the first step of adding the product in the code, and he would click on save, and then the code system would determine if there were any recommendations available. It would only just do a recommendation if it is available, but not really actually provide the recommendation. Then the user could choose if they would like to add this one or more products from the recommendation. And if he in case the user does not wish to add, then he could also provide a reason for this. Maybe the recommendation was not suitable, or it was not required for this customer, whatever it is, this feedback can be given and this can be channeled back into our recommendation system. So from a UX design perspective, what we wanted to ensure was that the user clearly gets the information on that the system has determined a recommendation based on the products that were added. So we made use of the messages in the code system that we had. So user would get a clear warning message that the system has determined something. And then what we also decided was to keep it simple. We decided not to expose the details of how certain products were determined or the accuracy of this to the users, because for this use case we did not find it very suitable for our end users to know how this determination was done. Rather, we provided kind of a link to a material which at least gives an indication as to which information is used, but not every detail of it was required. Then as I mentioned, user could always ignore all the recommendations or choose any specific ones and add them into the code. And when coming to the data privacy and ethics aspect of this system, like I mentioned, we are using either the relation between the different products or certain information about the customer, but none of this was any personal information, but more information like which industry or which segment the customer belonged to, which region or country, such information, but not of any personal information. And hence our expectation was that there should not be any data privacy aspect impacted. However, the training data set that we had, this was only limited to certain countries and regions of that. And hence, for example, we had only parts of Americas and parts of EMEA, but not other regions where our business was. And hence, it was quite possible that there could be certain representational bias or learning bias introduced. And hence, to mitigate this, what we did was when we have customers within these regions where we had the training data, we would consider the customer information and the product information for the recommendation system. While if there were any customers who were out of this training set, we rather depended only on the product relations, and then based on the recommendations made and how the purchases were further made, we fed this into the model and then further enhanced those models. And as the model would learn from this, we would then provide better recommendations to those customers. And what we also included was a feedback system, so that it was possible for users to give feedback on how they perceive the recommendations as, and then use this to improve the model and also to do a kind of a sentiment analysis on this feedback, because this would help us to determine how valuable the users felt from a feature perspective. Now coming to the mock-up, so this is how a very simple mock-up would look like. For example, this is just a quote like you see here. So they would select a specific customer and then a specific product and add it to the cart here. And the moment they would add it, they would get here kind of a message which would say that there are certain recommendations available, and the user could click here and then it would take them to another screen. and this is where the user could see all the different recommendations, for example, and they could either choose to add or remove those recommended materials into the code. And when they are removing it, they could also give certain reason. They could also rate the specific recommendations. They could rate the overall recommendation, provide an overall feedback for this recommendation, so that we could further use this information to improve our recommendation model, and also to do some kind of sentiment analysis on the overall feature. What we also did was to provide a kind of a link to a page which would tell which all information was used to deliver these recommendations. Yeah, so I think that comes to the end of the presentation. Please review and provide your feedback. Thank you.